the housing itself, so the box where the body goes into, without the lens part, is also going to be like $5,500, I think, US.
Okay.
So we're already at $12,500. People think it's very easy to do wide angle photography. And actually, macro photography is so much easier than wide angle. So I think it's, in general, underrated. We MacGyvered the whole thing because, the equipment didn't exist yet. So we had these torches with blue light and we were taping them onto arms to put on the video camera. And they were like filters. We need something. Underwater. Yeah. It was so funny and so much fun. Only get to see the scary bits. Then of course you're going to be scared. But if you see good interactions, if you see about sharks' behavior, about where they live, how they live, why they live the way they do, they migrate or don't migrate or sleep on the bottom or eat it. So if you get to understand this species a little bit more, they will come up to me and say, can you film a scorpion fish hunting in fluorescence? And I'll go, yeah, sure. I'm like, how am I going to do that? Yeah, no, exactly. And I'm like, why do I always just go like, yeah, sure. And then when in the water, one dive.
Welcome to Working with Wildlife, where I, your host, Jaden Lunt, speak to experts and enthusiasts in different fields of nature to find out how and why they do what they do. My guest today is an expert underwater videographer and photographer with almost 2 decades worth of experience working with organizations such as the BBC and the Discovery Channel. She is known for her pioneering work in fluorescent underwater diving and is the founder of Oceans Below underwater video productions. In this conversation, we dive deep into the world of underwater videography and photography, and we see what life has been like through her eyes. So, without further ado, please welcome to the show award-winning filmmaker Elisabeth Lauwerys. Thank you, Liz, for coming onto the podcast. Finally, we've had some stuff going on at the beginning, but now you're here. How are you going today? What's happening over in your side of the world?
Yeah, I'm doing really well right now. I'm sorry for the delay. It took a few months before we finally managed to schedule this podcast. I'm doing all fine, all good now.
Awesome. And you're coming in from Thailand today, if I'm not mistaken?
I'm living and I'm based on Koh Tao, a little island in the Gulf of Thailand. Good for diving all year round. Good for teaching, good for my job. Yeah.
Okay, so it's an all-round sort of weather. That sounds really nice.
Yeah.
I know that at least I'm coming at you from Brisbane area, and the weather is rather bipolar. Like it rains a lot, and it's not really sunny, but then it's sunny, and it's a bit of an interesting time. But Christmas is now over. We're in the new year of 2025. You've got some really cool things coming up. I guess in this conversation, I'm looking forward to hearing a bit more about your story and what you do for work. I've seen a bit of your stuff online. It looks so cool. You have a great skill. You've taken some awesome photos. So I'm looking forward to hearing about maybe some of your tips and skills and tips on how people could maybe become better underwater photographers, videographers, as well as those starting who will just want to start up. What does the price look like? That sort of thing. But first of all, could you give us a little bit of an idea of what you do for work, Liz?
So I'm an underwater videographer and photographer. I set up my company Oceans Below about 20 years ago already, I think. So about 20 years ago, I was just filming open water students, people who just started to dive and selling. And then it slowly turned into doing productions and promotional videos and everything. And then I slowly started to get a name into the television world, productions. So more with BBC, Nat Geo, Animal Planet. So I worked with those kind of people together and made
Yes.
some,
Yeah.
didn't do the whole thing, but was part of, like doing a sequence or selling footage or be sent to
Part of it. Okay.
to film something specific. Yeah. So that was really
Specific,
cool.
not like the whole thing, but
Not
components
the
of
whole
it. Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Awesome.
I've never done the whole thing, just little components of documentaries and stuff. So that's really cool.
Right.
And then a big part of my job now is also teaching, abiding photographers and videographers the skill of doing this on the water, which is completely different than doing the same thing on land.
And that's also, you say completely different. So that's, that I'm looking forward to hearing about what that looks like and why that is. You're teaching new people how to, and beginners and intermediates, how to be better at underwater videography.
Well, there's a lot of people that come to me that I prefer to have dive professionals because their diving skills are really on point. Because what's super important in underwater photography and video is to be able to hold the camera still, because you don't have, well, you do have tripods, but normally we don't film with tripods. We're not, swimming next to a whale with a tripod on it. That doesn't work. So we have to be our own tracking system. So you have to be able to hold it still. In order to do that, you have to have really good buoyancy control, and buoyancy control comes with experience. So if you do a short little course with me just to get to know a little bit on how to take photos or videos on the water, it's not such a big deal, because you can develop a little later and, learn on the go. But if you want to, do the longer courses with me to become a professional in underwater photography or video, then normally I ask you to be a dive professional. And then sometimes people have a background in either editing or in land video or photography. And some people have no background whatsoever. So
very diverse.
It varies. It varies. Yeah. Which is cool.
Okay. And so you're saying the most, before even quality of photographer or videographer comes into talk, it's you have to think about yourself being the stabilizing tool. Personally, I'm not well experienced with underwater diving and your world. I'm not yet. I love the idea of being underwater. One of the things I did before this podcast was tying in that underwater world into the land videography. I would go out and I would do kind of like reviews on certain hikes, but those that had water. And so I would bring a camera, my little camera, a GoPro, and my snorkel, my torch, and I'd try and find these walks that had these water holes in them, and I'd try and go as far down as I could. And it makes me a little nervous sometimes because I don't know actually what's down there. But I love that idea of looking underwater. You're saying that you need to have buoyancy skills. Could you imagine me, you're talking to me, so it's pretty easier. What would you tell someone who's beginning to have an idea of, to start them on the journey, I guess, of becoming an underwater, even just beginner videographer or photographer?
Okay. Well, first of all, you need to be certified. Yeah. So, and then I would say dive as many times as you can without the camera, just to be comfortable in the water. Your skills with diving need to be automatic. It needs to be one with you. So, so
driving
whenever,
like a manual car sort of thing.
exactly. It's kind of like when you have a camera in your hand, you're going to forget everything else. You're not going to look at your air. You're not going to look at depth, But if you start realizing while diving, even without before, that, I'm equalizing. And then you have to check, because for sure you're going down now because the pressure is building up, or if you feel that you're floating up, you need to know what to do. Once you have that camera in hand, the only thing your brain is going to is that shot or the camera. So you're going to forget about, so if the diving bit is not automatic, like easy, then it becomes difficult to do so. So diving, I would say have at least 50 dives. And then you're going to look into a camera. Okay. And then better not to buy immediately a big rig like this, because, this changes your buoyancy. So you need to relearn how to dive with a thing.
Yes.
But if you take like even a GoPro or a small, whatever small camera with you, then it's okay. And then, of course, you need to keep focusing on your buoyancy control. But at that point, you start your, underwater photography. I think the easiest way to get quickly good or relatively good, even for a beginner, is to do a course, whether it's online or in person like I teach, is to do even a 3 or a 5-day course, because you learn how to take care of the camera and all your equipment. It's important. It goes in salt water. It has O-rings that need to be taken care of, And then you need to learn about settings, because underwater you have a complete, how when you go down, you lose all color. So first you lose the reds, then the yellows, then the oranges, until when you're at, let's say, 18 meters, everything looks quite bluish, blue or green. So you need to manually white balance if your camera is able to do that. Yeah. And if not, you can use a red filter, or you can use an underwater setting. You have underwater white balances. Underwater, like a fish setting, like a white balance as well in some simple cameras. Filter. It's not a red filter.
And that's a red filter
internally.
No?
But you can use a red filter on the outside. It depends. Like a GoPro, you have the red filter at the front.
Yes.
And then you can go deeper than 10 meters and you'll get better colors. Because once you lose all those colors, try to edit and get those colors back. It's not happening. It needs to be in the image, even if you don't see it. So if you go with the GoPro below 10 meters, you need a red filter, and then you can
have a red filter on.
Yeah, and then you can pull the colors back out in your editing program. Yeah.
Right.
But I suggest you do something like some kind of online or a lot of research on
some kind of course. Okay, lots and lots of research, or some sort of online or in-person course. Yeah. I mean, what are some of the benefits of doing an in-person course? This is something you facilitate. What are some of the big benefits of doing in-person?
I think it's adjusted completely to your needs. So I just see people come in and they know something about photography, about camera setting. So I need to just give them what you need to do for underwater. What's the kind of, you have different settings. And of course you can break rules and go completely different, and add some creative look to your photos or videos. But yeah, in general, I think if it's one-on-one, like I teach one-on-one, well, most of the time, I can really, I can really see
the course you're saying.
For the course, my course has like a guideline. I accustom all the courses to the people, because if they know already a lot about settings, why would I explain too much about it? I just say what would work on the water, and then they can try that out. But if they don't know about white balance underwater, then we go more into it, because it's hard to get the right color. I like people to come off the course. If they use one of these bigger rigs, that like what I do when I go to the Maldives, I take out the card of the camera, I plug it in my iPhone, and then I look through my clips and I download them on my phone, and then I upload them directly for a reel or a story on Instagram without touching, or maybe a little bit of contrast, but that's it. I'm not editing,
Okay, so like
I want to prepare
pretty
people.
Accurate.
Exactly.
Wow, that's very skillful.
But you have to do it a lot in order to see underwater, because we see things differently underwater. You look at your camera, you see your screen looks a bit pinkish or orangey or, reddish and whatever else. You need to realize that that's okay. It's the right color. you know, but if it's a little more purplish, you need to know by experience that that's not okay. Then the blue doesn't come out nice, you know? So there's a lot of skill in colors, you know,
You've
to
been
play
doing
with
this
it.
for like
Of course,
even more than
20.
just when you started.
Well, no.
Yeah, you've been.
I did underwater photography since 1998.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
but also with a little camera that, you know, you have a film roll. I don't even know if you know that. Film roll, you put it
I did
in.
actually
And then
see them. Yes.
you did. Well,
I did. I
had
used
one.
them. Oh, yeah, okay.
Really? And then you have to set, and I had an underwater camera then as well. You have to set like the distance from your subject and your shutter speed. You have to set everything manually. And you have a roll of 36, you know, not more than that.
High pressure.
So better not mess up, you know. Now when I go with the mantas and I'm shooting, I come back with 400 photos. Back then it was like, no, you know, you had to choose. You had to on
really
the spot.
be intentional.
Yeah, and I think that helps a lot by, you know.
Yeah, that would have really
quickly
improved
thinking
your
like,
skills.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, wow,
I think that's a good way to start. Yeah, with film.
On the roll film, on the film. Okay, is that part of your classes?
No.
No.
Too complicated.
It is very complicated, but it's amazing that you started you started far back before the 2000s, and you've had this entire. You would have seen a lot of changes in the underwater sphere, and as well as not just environmentally, as well as like technologically, with the camera gear as well. One of the courses that you do is. One of the courses that you do as well is a social media course, which I haven't often seen. Could you tell us a little bit about why you saw that as something that you could bring value to, and why that's important?
So the social media course, I kind of it's weird, isn't it? It's like, But the social media course was something I think beginning of COVID that I thought of, because at that point Instagram became so much more important for everyone, and I had so many students asking me, you know, like how do we do this? How do we do that? And how do we get the best format and it changed so much, even from 2020 up till now. You know, it's a massive change in social media. So because at some point in the beginning it was all about photos, so we did mostly photos editing, and it was all about short captions and the hashtags and how to try to reach your audience, how to grow, and then suddenly it became all reels, and I'm like, here we go. Nice video, you know, but then it was about even turning the big rigs, like you shoot, you know, documentary style. And then like, one media shot, turn the camera, and just shoot a little bit like that, you know, just for your Instagram. And then, teaching people how to make reels. I'm always a little bit surprised because many of my customers are like between 22 and 32, I would say, you know, many of the people that want to do the course, and they're not all very knowledgeable about social media and how to do things, you know. And I'm also like, because for me, it's super important to bring out a message. I don't want to just show beautiful things on the water. It's got, I want it to have a purpose, you know, and I want to bring that over to my customers as well. Like, we're the ambassadors of the ocean. So we're showing people that are not diving, like the beauty, but also the things that are wrong with it, like coral bleaching or pollution or overfishing, you know, those kind of things. But definitely also the beauty, and sharks are not dangerous, you know, and unless you stick your hand in their mouth. But, you know, in general, you can swim with them, you know, and it's nice and it's easy. And you want to you want to show the world that. So
Yes.
I'm not just teaching the social media part. I'm teaching them how to, how to tell
Express that
people,
story.
yeah, express the story, but also like protect the ocean. Look at my work. We can't keep doing that if there's nothing left in the ocean by overfishing, global warming, blah, 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 Yeah.
There's a whole list of things that seem to be a
Yeah.
big challenge. And is there one specifically that kind of that sticks out as like the biggest problem, that as if someone hears about it, like that there's something actionable that they can do? You say that's in global warming, the bleaching of the corals, these issues that you're seeing underwater, that people don't often see. What is an actionable step that someone can take hearing about these
For
problems?
me, there's two things. One is overfishing is a thing. It's big trawlers that scoop up the whole ocean. You could stop eating fish. And I'm not just saying that because I filmed them and I don't want to eat them. I don't eat any animals, but with the fishing, the overfishing is the simple biggest problem in our oceans. It takes away food
Wow.
for the whales. It breaks coral reefs and whatever else deeper because they're shrimp fishing. There's so many things wrong. The bycatch, when they catch turtles and dolphins and sharks that they don't even eat. It just gets thrown back overboard, but they don't live anymore because they got caught in the nets,
In the mess.
So it's just waste. So not eating fish is one thing. And then, yeah, you could say like find sustainable sources, but oftentimes there's lies about that as well. So I don't know. It's up to everybody.
Yeah, I hear that.
To do what they want to do. And then the second thing is stop using plastic, single-use plastic. Everybody can make an effort with that. Don't take the plastic bag, use a reusable bag, don't buy normally plastic things left and right. And I mean,
and I guess
go ahead.
why is it why is overfishing an issue? We hear that it's an issue, but why can't people, or why shouldn't people overfish? If looking at, say, the idea that people are the highest on the food chain, and the food chain is how the world is run, why should the highest being on the food chain be considerate about the rest of the food chain?
If you know that we lost more than, I don't know if it's 70 or 80 or 90% of all marine life since the 70s. So it's all gone in decline, especially sharks. Then how long do you think we still have fish in the ocean? And if there's no fish and no sharks in the ocean, how do you think we are going to survive? We're not. Like if the ocean dies, if the species in the ocean die, we're not going to survive. No ocean, no sharks, no us. It's the end of it. So we better start doing, it's all very connected. Yeah. So, and it's everything is part of it,
Like as in the whole ecosystem?
Yeah, the whole ecosystem, yeah. It's not just the ocean.
No, as in you're talking about land.
No, I mean like
as well?
cutting the Amazon and ruining the oceans. These places are the lungs of the earth, The ocean actually, corals filter the CO2 out as well, right? A lot of people don't know that. But we need this to survive. We need the coral reefs to be able to breathe. Yeah.
Can I ask if, like, taking a step back and having a look at a big world picture?
Yeah.
How do you see the world? You say use words like these places are the lungs of the world. How are you seeing life through your eyes in this way?
Well, I mean, I don't want to sound very pessimistic. I love nature, and I
Yes,
start my
no
day
doubt about
every
it.
day by hiking in the jungle, taking in, fresh air and listening to the birds and, walk with my dog and, sit on a rock, overview the world, at 6, 7 a.m.
Mm,
And
amazing.
it gives me a happy feeling to start the day like that. Because even on this little island, when I come down, it's busy and there's pollution and there's garbage and whatever else, like there's a lot of things
Yes.
around that you're like, oh, can I deal with this? And then we have the ocean and it's the same thing, you submerge yourself and look around what's there. It's mind blowing and amazing. And it's super sad at the same time. You see the broken coral
Mm,
reefs I saw last year was probably my worst case of coral bleaching I've seen. Um,
okay.
and I
Where
see
was this at?
on Koh on Koh Tao here
Okay,
where
okay.
I live. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really bad. And it's it happened in lots of places, even in Australia, because it was El Nino last year. So the water was
Mm,
higher than normal. It was hotter than normal. And yeah, it took a while. They recovered a little bit, but not that much. But I see not enough people caring, I think.
hmm.
It's like I love going to different places. I love seeing different species underwater. Um, but every time you go somewhere, you also see the downside to, of what's happening, like coral reefs that
Yeah.
are, or overfishing. Like you go to the Caribbean, you don't see much big schools of fish because they overfished a lot over there as well. Um,
Okay. So
yeah,
there's a
in
lot
other,
of interconnected issues that you're observing.
yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
it makes it, and I think the older I get, the more I have, like in the beginning, for me, it was all about diving, traveling and everything. But the older I get, I'm more connecting the dots like, oh, but this has impact on that and that. And, and
Yeah.
yeah. And of course, I don't want to,
The world dot to dot kind of grows.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's
Uh,
it's
y-
it's a beautiful world. It's still here. It's all there. It's
yes.
just like I wish a lot more people would care and actually want to do something to preserve, on land and underwater, the beautiful
There's,
things that we
could I,
still have. Yeah.
yeah, there's one I'd like to, I'd like what some of uh, what changes, I guess, have you witnessed underwater? You've been underwater for a long time,
Hmm.
a little over 2 decades you've been
Hmm.
underwater. Uh,
3 decades
what
now.
changes have you seen? 3 decades now.
Hmm. I've
True.
been
It was
underwater.
3 decades now for a long time. Uh,
Scary.
in
Yeah.
in addition to that, can you breathe underwater yet without oxygen tank? I guess
Almost.
not. We'll
Almost.
find out in the fourth decade. We'll find out in the fourth
Yeah.
decade.
Exactly.
You say that not a lot of people are caring about like what's going on,
No,
which is I
a
think
lot of
which is
people
true.
are, but
Yes.
it's all the little people, let's say. There's a lot of people doing here
Mm.
conservation work. There's a lot of photographers
Hmm.
caring about the marine life in the world and bringing it out, for other
Okay.
people
So
to
you think
see.
it's
But it's
like like
the big
right the
corporations, the people on the top, the people in the politics, the people who
mm,
can actually do the most.
m- make big changes, big impacts, big dents,
and
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 is there any particular reasons why you think that is?
money.
Mm.
I think
It's a
it's all
big one.
about it's money. Yeah, I think the
Mm.
world is too attached to just profit and making money, unfortunately. Yeah.
Unfortunately, and so that's a big reason why.
Mhm.
Really, ultimately, money,
Money.
the money's the root of
Money,
all evil.
greed.
With that
Yeah.
idea, Yes.
money, profit,
Okay. And
greed. Yeah.
do you think there's, because I don't live in that upper echelon of people, and they've been through it and they have their own ideas as of why.
Mhm.
Do you think it's just money that is the reasoning, or it's because there's something else that we're not seeing?
I don't know. I think a lot of it is just money because the corporations, they are all about profit. They
Mm.
are about profit now. And the people that are in charge, the CEOs, they need to perform well or they lose their jobs, obviously. So they go for
Mm.
what works for them. And
Okay.
that's
Well,
making more money. And
yeah. And so then it's a flow-on effect. It is again.
yeah, and it just
I
ripples
mean,
all the
I'm
way.
seeing the point that you're coming from. I see the point
Hmm.
that you're making it, and largely I agree with you as well. I think well, I guess so. Well, I think there's a big problem. What can be done about it? The average everyday Joe, what is something that can be done? Is there a path that you see forwards if we follow that? Kind of like with the sharks and the fish that the bycatch, the path, if you follow
Hmm.
that, it's going downhill. What path can
Hmm.
we follow going uphill?
Well, as you mean in general in the world or as an individual?
And as an individual,
As an
and
individual,
then
I
if you
think you
can
just
branch out.
need to, yeah, there's a couple of things you can do. You can be an ambassador for whatever, for the ocean, for marine
Mm.
life, for birds, for nature, like bring it out and educate people. Like educate about what's happening and what can be done.
Mm.
We can pollute less. We can eat less meat or no meat. We can, which pollutes a lot as well. We can stop eating fish or find sustainable sources and do research that they're really sustainable. You can
Mm.
use the less plastic. You can put the heater. Well, we don't have a heater, but the aircon is on
The
27,
sun
by the
is the
way.
heater.
Yeah, exactly. But here the aircon is on 27. I don't need it to be on 21, or
Mm.
22, whatever the temperature. It's still hot in here, but it
Mm.
just cools it off a little bit,
It
You
just
don't need to
takes it
use
off.
that much. Yeah, that much energy. You can be
Yeah.
careful I mean, and I do, of course, I fly to different places, and I pollute the air that way. But I try
Mm.
to be very conscious of what I'm doing and also the products I buy, the clothes I invest
Mm.
in. I don't go
Not.
to a certain brand because I know they cut down the Amazon just to grow cotton, so I don't go
Mm.
there. It's like, it's a little
Mm.
bit, be aware a little bit more of where your
Mm.
things come from and
Mm.
consume less. We don't need that
Yes.
much. And if you look at things like even 20 years ago, we had less. And 20
Mm.
years before that, I mean,
Less
we
again.
were, yeah, less again. And you look before that and people had a lot less and they were still living their lives and doing cool stuff.
Yeah, and I think, well, it sounds and it looks like there's actually, well, this is all like surface level,
Yeah.
not in value, but these are the byproducts of
Yeah.
things that are a lot deeper. I think there's a lot of other things that uh, as an individual and as a society, it seems to be something that there's deeper things going on. But you're very passionate and you are aware of a lot of things that's going on. You used the term before, you're putting the dots together as you get older.
Yeah.
Could you kind of maybe take us back a little bit, Liz, through your own dot joining journey, and what are some pinnacle moments from your young childhood to now that were larger pinpoints that kind of helped stabilize your direction that has taken you ultimately to being now in a business owner for over 2 decades
Mhm.
and traveling around the world, swimming in the Maldives 3 days after you've had surgery? or taking the stitches out.
I know. Not after surgery. I would have done that, but that would have been crazy. Yeah. I don't know. I think from a young age, when I was very, very, very young, I took once my little bicycle and I disappeared from home, and everybody was in a state because I was gone. Came hours later back without shoes. And I announced to my parents I was going to be a world traveler. That's what I was going to do. I was 5 years old at that time. By 6 years old, I got my first tiny little Kodak camera. You know, the one,
yes,
the one that
with like the
really
yellow
weird.
and black. Those ones?
Yeah, yellow and black, exactly that. And I got a film for 12 photos per month from my mom that she would develop. She said, you get 12 photos per month. So it was like, as a child, you learn, to deal with that. And I would take my 12 photos in a month.
Your resources.
Exactly. And then, so that was a big thing for me as well, to start my passion for photography. And that actually never stopped, like all the way through my youth and, and all the way it's always been photography at that point. And then I got into more traveling.
Always, yeah. So
then the traveling and travel photography, that became more important. So there's always like, but I think
as a 7-year-old now?
And now this is when I started traveling, I was 17, actually. By then I was 17. But I think I never wanted to live the life that I saw other people living around me, even my family. I always had something, no, I'm going to be different. I'm going to do something different. Like, I don't want to have the house and the kids and the job,
something different.
Else. I'd want to do something different. So I think even after I studied, and I got my first job, I was like, that's so not me. Meanwhile, I was still traveling. And I remember also I negotiated a contract of 8 months instead of 12. I was like, I can work for you eight months.
So you're a negotiation expert too.
Oh, yeah. If it's for my freedom, hell yeah. And then they said yes, they wanted me. So they were like, yeah, that's fine. You can work for us. And then 8 months and you can take 4 months off. Not in one go, but so I went diving. I started free diving also when I was 6 years old. My dad taught me with the mask and the snorkel to dive down and the fins. I still have that. It's so cute. My little mask.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I started.
So you live near the ocean?
We had a boat when I was younger, but we couldn't really swim in that ocean because that was in the Netherlands. That was a bit chilly. But we would always go to the south of France or, that area where it was warmer. And my dad would take me.
Yeah, awesome.
Looking for things underwater, fish and the crabs and those kind of things. So I had a lot of things from an early age, like the passion for water, the passion for photography, and the passion for travel. And all that kept being consistent in everything I did all the time. And then with the first job, and I had a pretty good deal, but I was like, not me. This is just not me. So quit the job, took off. Meanwhile, I was a dive professional already at that point. And then
so what age are you at now? Can I ask?
I think...
Is it about 18, 19?
No. Then I started traveling and I was... At 18, I lived in Paris. I mean, I've been a little bit everywhere, trying that out, the city life. Came back from that and then studied. I did art school and then I did French, Spanish, and public relations and communications. So I studied like 2 different studies, one after the other.
Right, okay.
And then I went to the Philippines. And I started properly diving. Like I was, snorkeling, free diving all this time. But then in the Philippines, I started did open water advanced rescue, and then I became a dive master. Yeah, so
Okay.
and then, but I think once I decided this life is not for me, I think I was 30, 28 maybe, 30. It's
Mm.
like, not my style. I can't do this.
The living in the city
Mean,
kind of life.
Meanwhile, I had bought an apartment. I tried. I had bought an
Mm.
apartment, and, and it was super nice, and I had fun. But every time I had this goal of, keep going and traveling, exploring and photographing. And so at some
Mm.
point I left and then traveled. And then it was a bit debate, like, do I go back after a year, 2 years of traveling and start up, do the
Mm.
same thing again? Or do I go to Koh Tao, do my instructor course, and then stay away a little bit longer? And so I chose that. And then I rolled in
Yes.
more into then the digital photography came out, like the first Sony little digital cameras came out. So with that, and then it slowly rolled into video. And then I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I want to do. So
This is the thing.
yeah, this is the thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it was you've also kind of been given the title as the entrepreneur is the word that I've got stuck in my head, but I can't think of the pioneer of fluorescent diving. Has been that title's been associated with yourself. That's kind of cool. That you pioneered something underwater.
It was so cool.
Was that about 2012?
11, 12, 10, 11, 12, something like that. Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
I don't remember. So many things are happening.
So
but it was so
you've done
cool.
so much.
We MacGyvered the whole thing because, the equipment didn't exist yet. So we had these torches with blue light and we were taping them onto arms to put on the video camera. And they were like filters. We need something. Underwater. Yeah. It was so funny and so much fun to start with that. And then we started filming, and then that's what I did a lot for the BBC as well. A lot of fluorescence. I forgot about that because they started showing it in different shows later on, like not immediately, but
not
later on.
Yeah.
A couple of years later, they started like, oh yeah, can you film this? Can you? They would come up to me and say, can you film a scorpion fish hunting in fluorescence? And I'll go, yeah, sure. I'm like, how am I going to do that? Yeah, no, exactly. And I'm like, why do I always just go like, yeah, sure. And then went in the water, one dive. The last maybe 15 minutes of the dive, couldn't find the scorpion fish. I was like, damn it. Every time you see them, but not them, when you need one.
Right.
And finally I found one. And then I planted the camera down and I'm like, okay, let's go. Now, hopefully he does something. And he started hunting. And I'm like, what are the freaking odds of that happening in one dive? After somebody asked me and I didn't even, I was like, okay. So I came back and I'm like, I got it.
That was within a week? You would have come back with them at least a couple of days?
One day. They called me.
One day.
I went the next day and I called them after the dive and I'm like, got it. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, I know. What are the odds?
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah.
That's pretty high, low chances for that ever happening. Pretty great though that it worked out for yourself. And this is is that particular piece of film in do you know what that was attached to project wise?
I think, what was it again? I've done a fair few projects with them, so I don't really 100% remember. I think in something about the south of Thailand, but I forgot. To be honest, I forgot what it was.
Something.
I also know other fluorescents.
You've had a lot of different pieces, so that would be that's understandable.
Yeah, I don't remember. And sometimes I don't even ask. I just film and give him the footage, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. You know, for me, it's the moment that I can capture it. That's the thing. And then sometimes I don't have TV anymore now, but when I had a TV, you would turn it on and see the program passing, like, I filmed
that's a good thing.
So that was really cool at the time. Now I don't care anymore. It's like, I love to film it. I love to be able to, when they ask me, can you do this or this or this? And then deliver. And that's it. Wherever it goes into. I mean, obviously, I want to know what it's for. Like if somebody, like they contact me a lot in the fishing industry, I'm like, I'm not participating. I don't eat fish. It's like, I'm not part of your project. I don't sell. It's not about the money. I'm not doing that. But yeah, for me, capturing the moment is the most important part. It's like the adrenaline and the wow,
yes,
I've got the shot, like after that, here you go. Yeah, I'm done.
I do. I've got a little slither of what that might be like in just on land, and it's in small projects I'm working on, and it's nice to that that actually worked out really well.
Feeling,
it's a very successful feeling. It's a great feeling. You've been quoted as saying, what people love, they will protect. What do you mean by that? And what does that look like in this?
What people don't understand, they can't protect, or they can't think, or they don't think about it, So with that, I mostly mean like interactions with sharks, for example. Yeah, in Australia is a big thing as well. It's like if you only get to see the scary bits, then of course you're going to be scared. But if you see good interactions, if you see about sharks' behavior, about where they live, how they live, why they live the way they do, they migrate or don't migrate, or sleep on the bottom or eat it. So if you get to understand this species a little bit more, then people are going to be less scared. And they might even want to go on a dive and see them and take photos themselves. And then they start
Liz,
to be...
who happens to also have a diving school.
I don't have a diving school. But I take people
diving course.
I take people on expeditions to the cool sharks and the cool animals.
Yes.
But it's like, like what people don't understand and what they fear, they will never protect. They will never come up to say, no, you can't do that. But if you educate them about these things and they start to realize like, oh, actually, my mom was always... she might one day see this, but she's scared of more things. She's like, when I started free diving deeper and everything, she was like, oh my God, she's going to die free diving. And then diving with the shark. You're going to get eaten a bit by a shark. You're going to get, what whales? You're going to be swallowed or hit by a whale. Like all those kind of things. But then she sees all the photos and the videos over the past, for especially 20 years, and she loves it. She's my biggest fan on Instagram. Every story, oh my God, amazing. Oh, it looks, because now she loves this.
That's so sweet.
So it's like, I turned my mom, who was scared of a lot of things, into actually loving what I do, loving what she sees, be even, with a turtle, like cute. Or with a beautiful shark photo, she goes, wow, that's so beautiful,
No.
So it's like you change people's minds.
Perspectives.
Perspectives over time.
The truth is always there.
Yeah.
But it's your perspective that is changing. You're changing people's perspective through what you do. Yeah. I think I'm still working on my own mum in regards to snakes.
Snakes? Yeah. Snakes is not going to work with
Yeah,
my mom. It's never going to work.
no.
No, no, no.
It's I'm working on it. It's there has been an improvement on a lot of people that around me, but
Yeah.
yeah, still working on my mum. She that sounds very I can understand the heart of the mum, caring so much for her kid and just wants the best. I love that she's worried that you might get hit by a whale. I'm thinking hit the song hit by get hit by a bus or hit by a train. It's a love song, I think, and it
Okay.
makes me think just swap that out for a whale.
For a whale.
It's meant to be nice and
Slept by
romantic,
a
but when I
manta.
say it like
Yeah.
that, it's really not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
it's really it's quite sad
Yeah.
when I say it, but um, I there's so much that you've been able to do. We've covered some really great topics in this conversation, and I guess as we kind of get out of the water in this conversation, could I want to get into the questions, but sorry, the overrated, underrated questions. But a big one that kind of stands out to me, question wise, is that you've been able to do and see and travel and do all this amazing stuff. We spoke momentarily that it's the big corporations. It's all about money. Money, though, can be a thing that is misleading. It's still an important thing in life. How have you been able to facilitate all these amazing adventures of yours?
Let's say do I have to be super polite or can I say I work off?
You did.
Okay. Okay. I did secretly. I worked myself in the beginning and I set myself goals. So one year I
Okay,
was
goals.
like, goals. I want to, instead of just filming people, I want to do productions. So I focused on that. I did the research. I contacted people and I got into it. And then another year I set the goal. Now I want to do film competitions, underwater video competitions and get my name out. So I did that, won a lot of video competitions with really nice prizes. I got to go to Micronesia for free for 2 people, got to go to Lembe in, I know, I got to go to Papua New Guinea. I got to go, what else did I win? Like lots of, trips at that time. So I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Wow.
And then I also, then I was like, okay, now next goal is meeting lots of people in the industry. So I started going to all the dive expos and dive shows. And I would just go like up to booths and people like, hi, I'm Liz, Oceans Below. And they'd be like, because my name was out there, Oceans Below, for teaching people. So a lot of people knew Oceans Below. They'd be like, oh, nice to meet you. Here's the torch. You try this out. Here's a camera. Try that out. Like good connections. And then I've had lots and lots of customers, that I taught underwater video. And a lot of them also were like, I'm in Mexico. Do you want to come teach here? Or I'm in South Africa. I need a little more guidance on my video. Can you come over there? So you get taken to different places in the world. And that happens a lot, So it's not only because of my own money, because I think most of my own money goes into buying nice cameras and, like a good camera. I don't upgrade all the time. I use it for a fair couple of years, but when there's something coming out that I'm like, that would be
Gotta
nice.
have it.
Yeah. Then I'll save up for that and get it because it's expensive, right? But traveling, and then I organize expeditions like with people. For example, I did after the 3 days in the Maldives, I did a 1 week video workshop with a couple of customers in the Maldives as well, somewhere else, where we saw a blue whale, 2 blue whales. We snorkeled with blue whales.
Hey.
Amazing. Yeah, by the way, have to throw that in. So we did like a couple of, like 5 days of videoing and underwater and editing. Like we were going back to the guest house and then eating and then editing in the evening. So much fun. And then I get to take people but I have a nice contract with the owners of the dive shops and the people of the guest house. So, I have a lot of opportunities as well. And I'm also,
but this didn't just come to you. It's something you really worked for.
Yeah, I worked hard for it. I had my goals, like meeting the people, doing the work so my name gets out, winning competitions. So, you can show something, and manifesting. Like, if you
being intentional.
I'm very intentional. Yeah. I'm trying to. And that's how I got to, because I do go on trips where I pay, or I will pay for my husband to come sometimes on a trip. But other than that, most of my trips, and it's not like for free. I work for it as well. But most of the trips I go on to is like either on invitation or expeditions where I book for other people, a group, and where you're the leader teacher on in that trip. So
in whatever that was. Yeah,
exactly.
Totally.
So that's how you make it. And of course I still make money because I'm selling footage
on the courses. Yeah,
I have
as well.
brands, social media brands that I promote, that you get paid for. It's like, but only the things that I'm totally 100% behind. The products I like.
With. Yeah, you only back quality.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's go for it.
There's a lot of different there's a lot of different revenues, is what you're saying. And when you through those initial years when you started your business, you had a plan. And you really were intentional with it, and I think I think your success and the outcome of where you're living now, I think, speaks to the intentionality that you lived with in those early days. There is the idea of price as well with camera gear. Quickly, what does a couple prices with camera gear for like a beginner to pro? What does that difference look like? And where someone who's starting out might look at gear wise?
If you look, for example, you have a GoPro, for example. That's it's money, but it's not horrifically expensive. So I think a lot of people can buy that. And if it's not GoPro, I would highly suggest the DJI Osmo. I'm not promoting for them. I just love the little camera. It's so good for underwater. It's amazing. And you don't even need a housing for underwater. Up to 10 meters, you can use it without the housing. So that's one to get.
And no color lens then either, because
you don't need it.
You need one.
But you also don't need it because they have certain settings in that thing that you can get the colors out again.
Okay.
But so you have that. That's not terribly expensive. I'm more living in Thai baht, so I have to calculate in, I think, like a little camera. I just have to quickly peek. I think it's
totally.
No, for the money, it's Olympus TG7 is a small point and shoot, and you can do certain little things manually with it, but not everything. That one with a housing, I just bought one for someone. I already forgot the price, but it's not. It was like 22,000. That's $700 US. I don't know how much that is in Australian, but $700 US.
Probably 1,000. Probably 1,000.
Then you have
to
you have like a camera and a housing, and with that you can already start taking nice photos. That's a good little, not too expensive camera. I would say though that's for photos. For video, I would use then in that case, if you want to be a little like have cheaper equipment, do the DJI Osmo, for example, for videos, because that's nice. And that's also not that expensive. $300-$400 or something. Yeah, they're really good. But then you go up to super expensive. There's a new camera coming out that I would love to have, but I'm probably not going to get it. Not going to get it. It's $7,000 just the body of the camera.
Okay.
And then you have to have, I have lenses, so that's there. But you also have to have
That's
the body of the housing. That's probably going to be
with the lens
5,000.
attached.
I have those lenses because I always use the same brand. I stay with the same
Right.
brand just so I don't have to rebuy everything. So, but then the housing itself, so the box where the body goes into without the lens part, is also going to be like $5,500, I think, US.
Okay.
So we're already at $12,500 just for that part. Plus then you have lenses. They're like, between $700 and $3,000. And then the dome ports and the things and, it gets expensive. It can get to, to $20,000. $25,000. And that depends on the camera. I like mirrorless because I do photography and video. So I like hybrid cameras.
Yes.
But you can go way higher up than that. But that's more for professionals, I'd say. I would not. Yeah, unless you have a lot of money. I would say, I wouldn't immediately say buy that. No, there's all kind of like other, like this one. It looks also quite big, but this is actually a smaller camera and way cheaper than the one that I have behind me. This is the housing for it. And that one, perfect, beautiful quality. And here you're maybe at $5,000, the whole setup, camera, lens,
the whole kit.
Housing, and this one. Yeah. So,
USD,
US dollars. So there's things in between as well. You have the cheaper versions. You have the people that are a little more serious about doing video or photography that can get something like that. And then you have the serious ones and the ones who want to spend the money on it or can spend the money on it.
What is the most expensive rig that you've encountered?
The most expensive one, I think it's I only had my hands on it once. I just got to hold it. But that was just like the red camera. And I don't even know how much it is, but that's the ones they use in most of the underwater
films.
Productions. And if they don't do, like I do little sequences, but the people that film the big
long time things, and that's
exactly.
We're looking at 50, 100,000 sort of price range.
Like it's ridiculous.
Kind of easy sort of ballpark.
But it's normal because all this gear needs to protect the camera. You don't want to go with
like you said. You got to protect the gear too. It's the gear that protects the camera, but you also got to protect the gear by maintenance and all that sort of stuff. Which in your course you teach people how to maintain.
To take care.
I've had a quick look over it, and you're very thorough. And I mean, if the teacher's anything to go by quality, it sounds like it's a worthwhile course if anyone is listening in. If I lived closer, maybe I would try and join.
You are
close. Actually, no, wait, I can't.
Close.
I can't join because I haven't learned how to float. I need a float first, or lead a dive first for at least 50 times.
Exactly.
That one. I need to work my buoyancy, and then I might see how you're going. Now, I'll jump into the questions if you're ready for the fun part. Well, everything's been fun. The game section of the conversation, overrated, underrated.
Overrated.
And then
I started.
You called it. You called it. In this case, I'm going to say underrated and get into it. Wide angle underwater photography.
Underrated.
Underrated. Okay, because why might it be underrated in comparison to other stuff?
Underrated in the meaning that people are underrating it. People think it's very easy to do wide angle photography, and actually macro photography is so much easier than wide angle. So I think it's in general underrated.
Okay.
Do you see my viewpoint? Like people take wide angle photos and they go like, oh yeah, nice, and people see a nudie prank like in a little macro shot and they go like, oh wow. No, that wide angle shot was 1,000 times more difficult to get because you need to get everything right. And the lighting and the composition and exactly where you put all your topics. And it can't be too full. It can't be too empty. It needs color. It needs blue.
Yeah.
The nudie prank, you go sit, stay low, shoot with a little bit of light. Doesn't matter where you put them. You get the
Quality.
shot. It's there. Quality. Exactly. So underrated.
You know, that makes, I understand your point even more now.
Okay.
Number 2, that's a good explanation. Conservation-focused underwater content. Conservation-focused underwater, underrated. Solid answer. Number 3,
underrated,
the use of
definitely.
lens filters in underwater image capture.
Overrated.
Overrated. Okay.
Like lens filters, you mean like So I'm thinking about all the special effect kind of thingies that they put on, and I'm like, overrated. It's nice to use it once and then get rid of it because
That's it.
I don't know. No, do your own creative way. There's so many creative ways with light and backgrounds and shallow depth of field and all kind of ways to have a creative outcome out of a photo.
Make an image look amazing.
Filters. I mean, I tried it. I tried the filters and the things, and it's fun for 1 or 2 photos, and then you're like, okay, done.
But then it becomes overrated.
That's me.
Yeah,
that's me. Yeah, yeah.
Number 4, the use of drones for underwater filming.
Underrated. It'd be cool if we can just send them out and see what's happening without us being there, They should be used a lot more.
And then you might even be able to see, even be able to see more because
you see
you're not
a hell of
scaring
a lot
away
more.
with...
Yeah, exactly. With breathing and moving around and absolutely. Yeah.
Well, this is the 5th and final. Genetics when it comes to becoming a great underwater freediver.
Genetics,
yes.
I think.
Does your person, who you are, does that determine the quality of diver you're going to be?
It's a difficult one because it's a combination of 2 things. It's genetics, but it's also your mindset. Because freediving is mostly from the mind. You have to be so incredibly relaxed.
Mostly from the mind?
Mostly from the mind, yeah. Like if you go down and you have in your head like, shit, I need to get back up. I need to get back up. You're not going to go very far. But if you can calm down your mind, and then oftentimes we say some kind of a little mantra, just to get into the zone, and then you do your breathe out just to get even calmer, and then you start your dive. It's the best feeling in the world. The genetics, because you need to have, the lung capacity to have enough air packed in your lungs so you can go deeper or stay longer. But yeah.
So the statement that genetics impacts or is the defining factor of becoming a great underwater freediver.
Overrated,
you would say.
Then it's overrated. Because
overrated.
It's mindset for me a lot as well. Yeah.
Mindset over matter in this case.
Mind over matter. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those are my 5 questions, and this has been a bit of a conversation of who is actually behind the camera lens, and it's been an absolute pleasure to get to speak with you, Liz, and hear a bit more of your story. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your experiences and your stories. I've loved it. Love the conversation. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for insisting to do this. It was fun. I'm not sure if I will do it again with someone else, but it was fun. I had a great time.
Case, it's been
I like
It's
to
been
stay
a
behind the lens.
privilege then.
You're
It's been a
very
privilege.
welcome. You're very welcome.
Thank you for watching or listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to find more information on today's guest or more information on the podcast, you can find those details in the description below. Otherwise, I hope and look forward to seeing you in the next one.